challenger. That blue number! New challenger. RandalThor 19!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of the Pixelated Echoes. I am 3-Bit. We're about to have like a really good show today. Appreciate everyone for already starting to jump into the chat. Had some people like message like, oh, they're excited for the show. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, I mean, you guys are the reason why I love to do these shows, even if there's like just 2 of you guys in the chat. So thanks so much for coming on by and watching. I get pretty busy with work and stuff, so it's always refreshing to just talk through games and movies and stuff with you guys. And as you've seen in the intro, we have 2 new challengers in the Pixelated Kingdom. As always, we're gonna start the show with what you guys are playing currently. I'll open it up. Like I've been playing or replaying Hellblade. I made a post on my Twitter about that I didn't want to stay in that 900 by 1,000 achievement crowd. Kind of refused. So there's only one more achievement I'm missing in that game. Very determined to complete that before Hellblade 2 releases. So I've been doing that. Starting to direct more commercial work. I do the commercials for the Aflac Duck. So that's a fun time. And yeah, I mean, those 2 things have been like taking up most of my time. I do enjoy doing commercial work compared to the gaming industry, just me personally. But I do want to point out that I did a show with RandalThor.
You just call me Rand. You don't gotta always say like RandalThor.
Yeah, okay, Rand.
That's good.
On the Longhouse Gaming Podcast. And,
yes,
and
with Mr. Viking and the crew.
Mr. Viking, great show. That was really fun. And Rand, he actually recommended that I watch 3 Body Problem. So I turned that sucker on, and I'm not gonna lie, I slightly doubted. I was like,
slightly. Well, you see,
just a little bit.
I don't even know if that was a recommendation because the show was just about to come out. I'd only read the books.
But you said you watched like or there's like a Korean version
there's a Korean
like
version
that.
Or a Chinese version. I've never seen it, but I've read the books, and I know how awesome the books are. And I was like, okay, I think this is going to be really good. And it ended up being pretty damn good, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I kid you not. I could not stop watching it. So I binged it in like a day or 2, and then I rewatched it with like friends and family and stuff like that. So
you're not like Paris where you want everything week to week?
No.
Okay.
Give me all that. Like I did that with Game of Thrones, actually. I was so glad I had a lot to watch with Game of Thrones because I was like, ooh, this is getting good. And then I don't have to wait till the next week. I could just go ahead and go for it. So great. Thank you for mentioning it, even if it wasn't a recommendation.
Well, let's cross our fingers it gets picked up for season 2.
I hope so. That show was
it
really
only
good.
gets crazier and only gets even better. Like the first book of the series is probably the weakest. Like you have no idea where this goes.
And I don't want to spoil too much for people who haven't watched it, but I've seen some details about the book, like some of the changes they made like makes a lot of sense. Like it was like one of those adaptations. You're like, oh wow. Can't praise that show enough. But starting the introductions for our first challenger, the Holly, or should I say Hollywood Blue Number, appearing recently on Kind of Funny Games with the X Funny cast. She's on several really good podcast shows like the Infinite Podcast and also the Renegade Realm podcast. So please give it up for that Blue Number. How are you doing today, and what you been playing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I started Dragon's Dogma 2, and I do really like it. But it's not a game that you can just pop in for 20 minutes and go. Like, you need a minimum of an hour to feel like you've maybe accomplished something. And today, my hour of Dragon's Dogma, I accomplished nothing. But so there you go. But between that, when I have shorter times, or like we had a online gaming birthday party for a friend, Saturday night, and we played Sea of Thieves. We played Played Up, which is on Game Pass, and it's really good. It's a super fun cooking challenge game that I've played with a few people. It's great.
Is it like Overcooked or?
It's kind of like Overcooked. It's almost like Overcooked meets Human Fall Flat. Because the characters look like Fall Flat, but you don't flop around. It doesn't have the goofy physics. But the restaurant stuff is like no joke. It's really hard. And when your restaurant fails, it's like a roguelike for cooking. Because once your restaurant fails, you just get kicked back to the like loading area, right? So it's only like a gig to download. It's really, really small game, but it's really, really good. So if you're looking for like a co-op online crossplay, it's great. And then we also snuck into another new game in Game Pass called Super Heck, which you're
the second person that's told me about that game.
Really?
I don't know much about it. Yeah.
I didn't either, but we were looking for like, what can we play that's crossplay? Because one of our, like, the Birthday Boy was only on PC. So we're going through all these, and there's kind of limited options actually that are crossplay, but this was, and I was like, well, and it was the end of the night, and we were like, let's just check it out. This guy is in Norway, right? So he's like 7 hours ahead of where I am. It's like 4:30 in the morning for him, and he's like, I gotta go to bed. All right, let's just spend 5 minutes, check this out, see if it's any good. And it's these little like spiders that are neon colors, and you have to web around the map, and it's just a 2D vertical map, and you get guns and like lightsabers and other goofy things, and you go at each other, and it's like last man standing, or you can do like a horde mode with your friends. But we wound up playing that for another 2.5 hours. We couldn't stop playing because it was just, this is ridiculous. This is such a good game, so I highly recommend checking those out. They're really good.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, Overcooked is one of those games where I always say there's certain games where it's like can ruin friendships. It's like,
yes,
like you have to put the burger. You start structuring.
Yes.
I actually really love those type of games.
Yes, I love the games where you can yell at your friends and it's okay later, right?
Yeah. For sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely check those out. Was that first one you said that was in Game Pass?
They're both in Game Pass.
They're both in Game Pass.
Super Heck, and Played Up.
Nice. Game Pass is wonderful. All right. So, and we have another challenger joining the realm, as you've seen in the intro as well. This man, he told me personally that Pokemon is the greatest game he's ever played. It's better than Ori, God of War, Red Dead, and even PUBG. All right. And not only does Pokemon catch them all, it also beats them all, apparently. I mean, this man also hosts the Xbox 2 podcast with Jez Corden. He's also one of the reasons I began podcasting, and I consider him an OG in the podcasting circuit. So please give it up for Ran, the man with a million. How you doing today? What you been playing, brother?
Not Pokemon.
Oh, not Pokemon.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
what you said before that wasn't.
I think you're spreading some tales that aren't true.
I'm pretty sure you said that. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Maybe in an alternate universe.
Oh, okay.
But not the current one we exist in right now. Pokemon's like one of the worst games I've ever played in my life, and I played a lot of pretty bad games.
Wow, you're really shifting gears.
I'm just saying, like, Jez sent me like a tweet. It was I forget what it was. It was like the 15th anniversary of Hannah Montana, the video game. And he was like, you played this, right? And I'm like, you're damn right I did. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, of course. I've played bad games. I know what bad games are. Yeah. And Pokemon's the worst of them all.
You're saying
at least the
it's
one I
worse
played.
Than Hannah Montana? Or are you saying Hannah
I'd
Montana
rather play
is better?
Hannah Montana than Pokemon, yes.
Wow. Was it for the achievements? Or you just like, you sought it out?
Even if Pokemon had achievements, it wouldn't,
wouldn't do it for you.
I mean, but yes, I did play Hannah Montana back then because I was an achievement hunter. So, like, yeah, you got to play anything that comes out that is somewhat short, if you want to keep up with the Joneses, essentially.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're not here to talk about Hannah Montana.
We are not. We're not.
But
But
we're not here to talk about Pokemon. Well, if you want to talk about Pokemon, I'll just leave.
I've never played a Pokemon game ever, and so
actually,
you know
not.
Yeah, never want to.
Well, I
played Power World. That was fun.
Yeah, play Power World.
Power World's probably a million times better.
Yeah, probably. Did you play?
Pokemon.
Did you play Power
No, I did not play. Well, you see, so that combines two genres I really don't like, which is the Pokemon genre, like the catch 'em all stuff, and then the survival genre. I cannot stand survival games.
Oh, you don't like survival?
I didn't know that.
I don't like survival. I don't like, you gotta find food and eat it and drink water and build stuff.
Like, you have to do that in real life. Just like
I don't want to do it in a video game. So it's like, that's it combines like two things I just really don't like in games.
Gotcha. Maybe we bet. I mean, everything's better with friends, right?
It is, yes. Redfall's better with friends. So I mean, yeah, that's true. Everything is better with friends.
Facts. All right. Well, maybe one day in another universe, another Rand is
another multiverse. Yes,
another multiverse
where I'm a Nintendo guy and not a.
Man, that's a rare universe, even for me.
I mean, it has to exist, right?
Yeah, somewhere
it has to. Some multiverse out there. I'm a Nintendo content creator.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
And ladies and gentlemen, rev up your engines, strap in, because the racing legend, the Fuzzy Belvedere, has graced us with his presence yet again as my co-host for the evening. Someone who agreed to jump on this pixelated journey with me. The race car enthusiast, the man, the myth, the Felix Cat legend, Fuzzy Belvedere. Thanks for jumping on. What have you been playing, man?
Oh, just awesome being here with you guys today. But as far as what I'm playing, man, started off with Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. Been pretty much dumping a lot of hours into that until the whole Fallout craze kind of picked up for me probably Wednesday or Thursday. And then I kind of put that down for a little bit to play Fallout 4. I tried Fallout 4 way back when it first came out in like 2015. Didn't really catch on for me. It wasn't quite what I was expecting for a post-apocalyptical type of game. I was hoping it'd be more zombie-like kind of thing, but it just didn't grab me at the time, which gave me little hope for Starfield. But Starfield was a whole different animal. Fell into that. Sunk a lot of hours into Starfield. So now with that view from another title from that studio, Fallout, I'm giving it another try, and it's sticking a lot better, especially after watching the show. But been playing a little bit of that. My usual games, just hop back into the Ascent for a little bit, get a couple of achievements to, how they have like the daily, if you get a daily achievement and Microsoft rewards and stuff, always trying to, pile those up. But also playing some Horizon 5. They just, as a community, we unlocked the F-150 Raptor for the dirt races, and probably got another day or two before, or maybe even a week before the new Mustang is unlocked for the asphalt or for track races and stuff. But been doing a bit of that. Still playing GT7, but doing custom races on those. And then also, what else did I play today or early in the week? Oh, still playing on PC, playing Undisputed, which, since EA doesn't seem to want to release a fight night right away, or at least there's rumors again of it, popping up again. But it seems like the only way they're going to go through with it is when Steel City that makes Undisputed, eventually brings it to console. I think that's when we'll probably see EA say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do Fight Night 4 or Fight Night, 2024 or 2025 or something along those lines." And that's when everybody will get hyped about a boxing game. But if you have PC or if you're willing to wait for it to come to console, definitely check out Undisputed for a real good boxing game that's not just throwing punches. You have to, slip punches, your guard. You can't just spam punches. You're going to tire yourself out. If you are unguarded when you lean forward, you might knock your own self out because of, the movement versus the momentum of the other boxer. But it's a pretty good boxing game. a lot of realistic stuff to it. So for anybody that's a boxing enthusiast, highly recommend it.
Yeah,
But,
and I mean they're starting to bring back like Top Spin, right? Like that's been gone for a while, so
yeah.
I hope it starts to make like a comeback for certain sports games. Maybe one day that the NFL 2K games can come back. That
Got
will
to start off with
definitely,
baby steps with the
yeah.
NCAA. When that hits, I really wish the NFL would just say, you know what, anybody that wants to make a simulator can make a simulator. But to my understanding, 2K was supposed to be making that quarterback game or something like that, or more of like the equivalent of like an NBA Jam, but for football. They were supposed to be making something along those lines, but that's gone silent for like 2 or 3 years now. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, and yeah, I hope they do bring it back because EA be getting kind of lazy with some of their Madden games. They take away features. They're like, oh look, it's brand new, and they put it back in. That could get pretty annoying. I haven't played a football game in quite some time, but I used to play it quite a bit. So our first topic is actually Fallout. Most of us, I'm pretty sure everybody here on this panel has played a Fallout game. Um, I don't know if everyone here has watched the show. I've just finished the show today, so we'll get through what you guys think about it. But the show's reviews are kind of stellar. They've been boasting, I think it was a 94% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Plus, with all the episodes are available on Amazon, kind of what we were mentioning in the intro. So it's pretty easy to catch up if you guys wanted to just go ahead and watch all of it and binge it, like I did. And then in tandem with this, Bethesda has also announced free updates for the game, and a move that Sony might want to consider. Free updates. These updates include exciting enhancements like the 60 FPS support, like better frame rates, improved resolutions, some quest fixes, updates for PC players. Additionally, Epic Games will be offering Fallout 4. Fallout Shelter is in line for some updates. So we're currently experiencing like this really exciting era where various mediums are kind of intersecting seamlessly. Because on one hand, you have the enduring legacy of this sort of long-standing video game franchise. Like Fallout has been around for a while. But on the other hand, there's like a newly launched TV show. And interestingly, the popularity of the show is driving interest in the game. So it's sort of creating this dynamic cycle of engagement. It's kind of like this circular economy that's kind of going on. But for many years, there was an era of bad video game movies. I actually do have a list of them. I do want to note that I love watching bad movies and TV shows. I watched the entirety of this one show, The Secret Life of an American Teenager with Shailene Woodley. It was very bad, but I could not stop watching it. That's my jam. So we've had a list of bad movies, and here's some of them. There was Super Mario Bros, the old one, Hitman, Rampage, Far Cry, Max Payne, Street Fighter, Doom, Alone in the Dark, which is on Tubi, Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, House of the Dead, The Legend of Zelda TV series, Dead or Alive, Wing Commander, House of the Dead, Silent Hill, Blood Rain, sequel to Hitman, and there's a ton. There's a ton of just, for a while, there's just a ton of bad movies, bad TV shows based off of video games. So we've entered this good age where directors are starting to see the market for video games being huge, and they are actually putting some dollars into some of these productions. More recently, we've had the Mortal Kombat reboot. We had Sonic the Hedgehog. I believe what started the good trend, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, was like the Halo Forward Unto Dawn, and then followed maybe Last of Us, that has like really good praise from the audience. And then lately, I guess the newer one would be like Super Mario Bros. Movies and some other ones. We have Borderlands on the way. That can go either way. So what are some highlights for you guys with this Fallout TV show? We had a chance to watch and are are you jumping back into the game because of the show, or were you just playing before? This is it puts your hype up. What do you guys think? I'll start with you first, Holly. I seen like you had a couple posts about Fallout. Like, oh, I'm glad that people are starting to jump into 76. I only played 76 very briefly. So I definitely need some guidance there. But what do you think about the TV show and the game?
I am 6 episodes in, I think it is. I have 2 left, or maybe just a little bit of the 6th one. I can't remember, but I'm not quite done, so don't tell me what happens. But the the show is really good. Like you were talking about, right? Like we're kind of used to bad video game adaptions, and honestly, I was pretty excited for the Halo show when it first came out, and then I hate watched it the entire first season. Like I hate watched it. And I would get like mad, and then I would go find these YouTube videos of like Angry Joe, and I would like sit in solidarity in my anger about how bad each episode was. And it was like this whole like cycle of things, right? So I haven't even watched second season, and I hear I've heard mixed reviews, but I've heard it's a lot better than the first. So, but I'm just like, nope.
I picture that one meme I like to use, like the girl, this little girl is really angry, but she's like eating food. She's like,
yes,
so that kind of picture.
It's me every episode, and I just won't do it. I won't do the second season, at least not now. Maybe after I've calmed down, because I'm still not over how bad the first season was. But anyway, having said that, it was really, really nice to see how good this show is, and the fan service that's in it is really like the best part, right? Even using the music from the vault's opening, and the
loading
sounds.
Screens. I was like, what the heck? That's a song from the loading screen. So that was really cool.
It's really, really cool. The stim pack looks exactly like a stim pack you would use in a game. Like they nailed it. The Nuka-Cola machines, right, with the bubble pop out to open it to get the Nuka-Cola is really good. There's just a lot of like really good attention to detail. The junk gun, when it first came out, I was like, I was having a cow. And I watched the first episode with Red Wolf, who's on one of the podcasts I'm on, and then my friend who has never played Fallout but is a gamer. And it like 20 minutes into the episode, he was like, so if I was gonna play Fallout, which one should I start with? And I was like, there you go. They did their job, right? Yep. Like that's the hook. That's it, right? Like, so we were like, 4, go play 4. 4 is actually my favorite. I really like 4. So like to Fuzzy's point, and he's not the only one that I've heard who's like, I didn't really like 4 that much, or I didn't get into it. I heard a lot of people say that, but 4 is really, really good.
I loved 4. 3 and 4 were like it for me. I think I beat 3 on the 360, and then I went back eventually when they had the updates. But 4, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I didn't understand like the sort of the feedback from 4. Like, hey, they didn't add this. I guess what the main complaints of 4, if I remember correctly, were because the voice actor, because there was a voice actor for your parts, there was like less dialogue options, but I didn't mind. I
didn't bother. And they that's when they really introduced like the building mode, right? And but the settlement stuff, it was totally optional, and I did like none of it. I had no interest in it. In 4, there was so much to do that was just a whole nother. So I played 76 when it first came out, and I hated it. Initially, it just wasn't. We knew it wasn't going to be just another mainline game, but it was so not what you expected. And so I put it away, didn't play it for a few years, and then a couple of years ago, I think I heard people start talking about it a little bit, went and played a little bit. And then last year, around this time, I really started to get back into 76. I was just like, I really miss Fallout. I want to play it, so I went back and I tried it, and it's really, really good now. It's fun. They've added NPCs that talk to all of the complaints that I think people had, they've tried to address as much as possible. And yes, it still has weird, quirky things, right? But that's Fallout. And that's
shout out to Colt in the chat. He says Fallout 76 is the best.
And Colt and I spent a ton of time with our friend Dante last year in 76 and just had a flippin' fantastic time. And it was so good. And we've hopped in here and there since then. I've probably been in there on my own quite a bit more, but it's fun, and it is daunting because there's so much content now. They even give you the option when you come out of the vault as a new character, you can start at level 20. Just here's some free levels, just go, right? So
and it's one of those games where when it first came out, it had a lot of controversy with how it monetized the game, how like broken it was and stuff like that. But that, to me, goes to this narrative where if you have a live service game, you have to make sure you keep investing in it, because people will eventually come back, see if it's fixed, like, okay, it's not fixed yet, okay, and then it'll come back, like, is it fixed now? And a lot of Xbox studios, they kill it with that, especially Sea of Thieves. When it first came out, I played Sea of Thieves at E3, and it was kind of like bare bone when it first came out. Now it's like a completely different experience, a completely different game. So Rand, same question to you. Did you get a chance to check out the show? Did you like it? Are you starting to play the game again? Like, did that inspire you? What have you been up to?
Well, let's see. I did finish the show. I watched it 4 episodes on Thursday and then 4 episodes Friday, and the show's incredible. Right? I thought the show would at least be good based on the trailers of the show, because it kind of had that feeling like, okay, I think we're actually going to have a good adaptation of something. Like, it's going to be a strong showing. And it went way beyond my expectations for what they did. Like, the show does take a weird... I will say the show does take a weird... I wouldn't even call it weird, but it does take... There's like a tone shift a little bit, if anybody's like... after episode 5 for a couple episodes, that might throw some viewers off. But no, man, like, I don't really know too much about the Fallout universe. I've only played Fallout 3, right? And I am a self-proclaimed, I like Elder Scrolls more than Fallout, right? Yep. And so I haven't played Fallout 4 and I haven't played Fallout 76. So even though I know about the world, I don't know too much about it, but everything about the show itself, from Walton Goggins as the Ghoul, who's like my favorite character in the show. Like, anytime he's on screen, your eyes are just glued to his performance. Yeah. Right. And honestly, like, even the main character, Lucy, I was kind of like, oh, I bet she's going to be annoying. Right. But I kind of love her, like, I kind of like, really enjoyed watching her personal journey and her character growth over the course of the 8 episodes, and I'm very interested in seeing like where we go if they ever do like a potential season 2. Though the other main character, Maximus, I was kind of a little bit down on towards the beginning, but I did feel like he redeemed himself.
Yeah, he grew on me over time.
Yeah, like, and he was like that was like in the first 4 episodes, his storyline was, I felt, the least interesting. But he definitely got better in the back half. So they completely shattered all my expectations, because you think about like the best adaptations for a show, and most people would probably put like Last of Us up there, or maybe the Super Mario movie, right? And this has come in, and I think it's probably the best, maybe.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's telling a new story within the framework of the existing lore, right? It's canon, but it's not like Last of Us, where it's retelling everything from the first game, which is still a pretty difficult thing to do. It's like, no, this is its own story, but it's within the realms of the stories they're already telling in Fallout. And they made it so compelling to the point where, like, I downloaded Fallout 4. So, like, I'm like, all right, well, it did its job, right? Like, because you got everybody watching it, everybody's talking about it, people are debating whether or not like binging or the week to week is the right method. Right? Shout out to Paris out there, because me and him are always gonna have that fight, and it's like, okay, but like you can tell people love it by how much they're talking about on social media, but then like how many people are actually going and playing the games? Like I saw Fallout 76 had its like best day ever on Steam. Fallout 4's numbers are getting back up there again, and that's just on Steam. I saw a data point from Matt Piscatella that like Fallout 76 had its like best day on the Xbox console since like October of 2022.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you create a great show that gets people talking and want to experience the game it's from. You see these sort of things happen in a way that it didn't happen for Halo. And that may be because the Halo show, as you know, Holly said, was she hate watched it, for Christ's sake. She hate watched it. And I don't think she was alone. I think there's plenty of other people who were very disappointed in that Halo TV show. And I think it just goes to show you that if you create something fun and exciting and something with, a lot of, because that captures like the soul of Fallout extremely well. The overtop gore, the violence, the humor, the dark humor, like all the things that Fallout is, the show encapsulates it very well and tells a very compelling story that is fresh to everybody. It's not just fresh to people who've never seen the games. It's fresh to people who love the games, right? It's not a retelling of anything, which I think is not saying it's not important, but everybody's watching it and being like, okay, where's this going to go? What sort of secrets are they going to reveal? And now everybody's, going on and like replaying the games. I talked to Colt earlier. He's like started a new playthrough on Fallout 4 and he already has like 500 hours in the game. And then you think about like, could this be, these companies always talk about, we need new players. Is one of the key tenets of like getting new players doing these adaptations and bringing in new audiences for the platforms or for the games, because there we know there's a lot of like TV based stuff on games coming in the future. Grounded's got a TV show coming.
Yep.
Gears has a movie and a TV show, although it's animated. There's a God of War TV show coming. There's a Horizon TV show coming.
The BioShock movie.
I forgot.
Is that actually still in development?
It's been like in and out, so. Right?
The game seems like it's taking forever, right?
And where's the Borderlands movie?
Yeah, the Borderlands. I think the movie's coming soon.
Yeah, this fall, right?
Yeah,
I think so. I think the strikes, might have pushed it back a little bit. But yeah, it's exciting. Like, because I didn't honestly think there was any way I'd go and replay Fallout 4. Right? It's a game from 2015. Anybody who knows me is very much like, if I pass on a game, it's usually like I'm just going forward, and I just kind of like, oh well, I missed that game, whatever. But watching the show, I'm just like, yeah, maybe I actually should play that game. Maybe I did miss out on something, but yeah. What a season, man! Like I didn't have any expectations, and it blew them all out of the water. It was so good.
Yeah, and Paris is in the chat, and he says Rand thinks they should release all games all at once so he could binge everything.
And me and Paris will never agree on the whole weekly and binge thing.
I can see both sides. All right, here's
the thing. I can see it from one side. The only people, The only ones that I'll accept that we want a weekly release cadence for is the companies themselves, because they spent the money and they want to make sure that people are subscribed throughout the length of the show. And that's basically how TV's always worked. The reason why TVs were always weekly episodes was because they aired it, and then they were also making the shows at the time they were actually airing the shows. So that's why they had to do it weekly. But then Netflix came and, just like Roman Reigns said, changed the game. And Netflix was like, you know what? We don't need to follow that formula, that outdated formula, because we can make all the episodes and drop them all at once, because we're not at the mercy of, we need to film these things. We need to make sure, are our ad partners okay? And now everybody's like, you need to go back to what they used to do in 1940s and the 1950s, where everything was weekly, so we can discuss it on X. And you know what? The discussion on X and all these other social media platforms about these shows is simple. It's a single tweet. Guys, I watched episode 1 of Fallout, and it was so good. Can't wait for episode 2. Everybody claims there's this huge in-depth discussion going on about character arcs and all that stuff, but that is non-existent. The only people that care about weekly drops are the corporations themselves and the content creators that make YouTube videos or the reaction channels. Other than that, I think everybody wants to watch the shows at their own pace and at their own leisure. So if they're all out at once, you can binge it yourself. You can just watch it. What I'm saying. So no, Paris. We will.
I mean, Paris. He's making good points, Paris. I'm almost inclined to agree. Like the whole weekly thing. Yeah. I mean, it does go into the conversation of, like, when you release a show weekly, then the hype, right, of people talking about that specific episode. I do remember it being big, to Paris's point, for Game of Thrones. That was like a thing. Like, whenever the next episode of Game of Thrones came out, people were like, oh, look what Jon Snow did, or something like that. But you know what? I personally like binging. That's just me. Like, if I can binge a show, then cool. I will actually wait for other seasons sometimes so I can binge it. So that's me personally. But Holly, did you want to jump in? I see.
I feel like I'm stepping into a trap here. No. I was gonna say, like, I was all on Rand's camp until
don't say it. Don't say it.
Until Apple TV, because they have like all of the best. Their subscription service is the best, and I'm telling you,
is really good.
It's so good. Every flipping show they do is weekly release, and I am telling you, like,
was Ted Lasso on? Was that Apple?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good.
It is.
Nice.
Yes, and For All Mankind. I mean, I could go on and on, right? But
Foundation.
The weekly release cadence on the shows that they have. The key is Apple TV has like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all fantastic shows that drop on those days. So every day of the week, I'm like, Apple TV. I'm like Wednesday, I'm like, here we go, right? Like, I get so excited because those shows are that good. But not every show is that good. And when it's not that good, if you're gonna lose me, right? And that's why the binge is better for mediocre. Right.
I see. And something I got to give, like, a shout out to Todd Howard, because he's been waiting for years to do a Fallout show, but he didn't have the right showrunner. Most people who approached him to do a Fallout show was like, hey, we want to do a Fallout show. And then he's like, okay, what's your idea? We basically want to remake Fallout 3 and make it into a TV show. He's like, and it wasn't until Jonathan Nolan talked about it, and what a different approach. Like, I do agree with a lot of the feedback about Halo. I still enjoyed watching it because I treat it pretty separately from the games, but I shouldn't have to, right? There's like a different methodology, I think is how you say it, with how Fallout was treated compared to a series like Halo. Because Fallout, you look at the producers like, oh yeah, we were huge fans of the game and how much they played the game and relied on it. And then you look at the interviews with Halo, and they were like, oh yeah, we didn't want to look at the game at all. This is our own vision. This is, our version of Halo. It's like such a different different statements on these shows, and if you are a huge fan of the game, then you never want to hear that someone doesn't want to embrace that in some form or capacity. So while I did enjoy some bits of like Halo, at the same time, if I were to be honest with myself, and what I actually wanted to see from Halo is more lore accurate, and more from the games, the books. This one is like its own version, so I'm like, dang, I really wanted to see this version of Master Chief, but oh well, like dang. I'm almost like taking what I can get. But I'm such a huge Halo fan that I'm like, all right, let's see what we got. But to you guys' points, like it depends. For me, like I love binging. Apple TV, I'm pretty sure I do have it. I just watch a few shows on there. I have all the infinity rings of shows. I'm pretty sure I have like Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, all the things. But I'm gonna bring it to you, my co-host. What do you think about Fallout? The conversations we've been having. What do you essentially think about the game and the show?
Well, for me, I'm on episode 4. Well, no, I'm on episode 5. I've already watched the first 4. Pretty happy with everything I've seen. Not being as familiar with the Fallout series, like I said, I only played a little bit of 4 when it first came out. Never touched the previous ones. But as far as like what I was expecting for the show, it beat my expectations, because I was figuring it was going to be a little bit more campy or something along those lines. But I'm glad they, even though yes, the vault dwellers are, they are who they are, but it is a lot better than I was anticipating, and even got my wife to watch it. And she's not one that's big on video game related content. Like the only thing that she'll watch religiously is like Resident Evil movies. It's like a house or an internal fight between us, where I say the games are better, she says the movies are better, but it is what it is, type of thing. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I saw so far. Looking to finish it hopefully Monday. I'm part of Team Binge, but time didn't allow for me to watch all 8 this weekend. But it being retired, binging is the way to go for me. I don't need to wait a week and stuff. It's like I want to watch it now. I'll just watch as many as I can today, and watch the rest the next day, type of thing. But it got me back to looking at the game. Like I said earlier, when I first played Fallout 4 when it first came out, I was, expecting, because I'm all about post-apocalyptical stuff, as far as like, no, I'm not a prepper or anything along those lines, but something that would appeal to that type of, aspect. I was all for it when looking forward to it when it came out, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I was hoping for a little bit more stuff, but then again, I was probably spending more time looking forward to the Division shortly after. But the game, going back to it, especially after playing Starfield, which I was a little hesitant on Starfield, given how I didn't really care for Fallout 4 when it originally released, and was blown away by that game. But going back after looking at how, the buildup of your character, the different abilities you can choose, and playing it, certain ways, whether you go for the negotiator standpoint or the man of the people kind of thing, or just murk everybody that moves type of deal. Having those different play styles, having that aspect, or that thought process, now playing Fallout 4, it's definitely sticking a lot better. It's a lot more fun. I'm waiting for the mods to kind of come to see what the updates look like, but there is already like a graphical update, or like a HD pack that they had from last year for the PC. And it's fairly decent. I think the debris is about the only thing that gives me a crash every so often on PC, type of deal. But overall, loving the game, loving the show so far. No spoilers, because like I said, I'm only up to episode 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, any show that can get me and my wife to watch. Like, she's more into horror and like zombie movies, and more so like the I guess you could say like the B movie type, where it's like it's all about slashing and the dialogue isn't the greatest. It can be corny and stuff, and she loves that stuff. I'm more about like 28 days or 28 weeks type of zombie stuff, even though those aren't real zombies, but like that, those are my type of flicks. And then to have both of us, not really on the edge of our seat, but watching each show, paying full attention to it, looking at the character interactions and things like that. I'm pretty happy. So it definitely won us over. She's not going to play the game because she's more into like playing Don't Starve or Don't Starve 2 or something like that. But yeah, for the most part, it definitely did what it was supposed to. Like Rand said, it got me to look back at the game and seeing how a lot of people are talking on social media. I'm pretty sure they've seen quite a bit of an uptick on the 76 as well as 4. The only gripe I have is that I bought the collector's edition physical for my Xbox One back in the day, and then before the Series X, I think it was like Xbox One X range, I went and bought it digitally, the Game of the Year edition, and it doesn't automatically give you a play anywhere kind of deal.
Oh, yeah.
Not as worried about the cross progression, but yeah, I made my post on social media. It's like, come on, you've owned Bethesda for 3.5 years now. Why isn't that play anywhere? Like a lot of the other ones that you made that way. So, but that's my only gripe. But everything else is roses.
Yeah, I hope they get more into that, and I mean, props to them though, for like, this show is out, and they basically had to have known it would have some success because they're starting to launch updates and stuff for all these different Fallout games, Fallout 3, 4, Fallout Shelter, for God's sake. So they coincided those updates with the release of this show, and that's pretty cool to see. Video games and movies and TV shows they kind of know that people will jump over to some degree. I believe that was one of the reasons why Last of Us could have released at the time they did. I don't know. The remake of the remaster. I'm pretty sure like they tried to release it around the time, but I don't know. It's always cool to see video games and TV shows kind of start to basically become one in a way. So we're on to
there's one bad thing though, 3-bit.
Yeah, what's the bad thing?
Where's Fallout 5?
It's gonna be a while.
How long are people gonna have to wait for Fallout 5?
They should go to Obsidian, honestly.
Yeah, but Obsidian does their own thing. I mean, who's to say they would even want to work on Fallout? I mean, they're their own people now. I mean, I know that they're within the Microsoft umbrella, but maybe I'm just saying, like, when you look at, is there anything, I'm going to say, I don't even want to use the word bad, but something that is a kind of a negative in the launch of this. It's just like you got people going back to Fallout 76 and 4 and 3, and that's all great, and New Vegas. But it's like, the fact of how big this franchise it already is, and essentially how big it could even become more with the strength of the TV shows, right? Because I think they'll do a season 2 and season 3.
Okay.
It's like, where's the next game? Where's Fallout 5 to really get everybody super into it, to grow the brand even further, right? And you're sitting here and you're looking at it, and if they don't have somebody else come out and like Obsidian make a New Vegas 2 or whatever, it's like, bro, we gonna have to wait till 2035? Like, is it really gonna be 10 years? And if so, doesn't that seem like that's poor planning?
It's a missed opportunity, I would say. I mean, it was smart for them like to handle what they have currently, which is, the Fallout 3, 4 Shelter, and just promote that. But I mean, I would love a Fallout 5. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't want a Fallout 5 or a New Vegas 2. I feel like Obsidian is a good studio to do that with, while let's say you wanted to focus on the next Elder Scrolls. Most of your team is going to need to focus on Elder Scrolls. So, it does kind of it does gotta suck because these games do take a long time to make. I mean, the Bethesda formula, while it is unique, it takes a long time to do a game like Starfield, Fallout. So my caveat to that, Rand, would just be have another studio do it and trust them. Because Obsidian, they did New Vegas and people loved it, but I feel like there was some weird rival thing going on with New Vegas because they released it and they were like they didn't want to promote it. It was just like a lot of the fans liked it, and I don't think that Bethesda liked that the people liked New Vegas more than their mainline game. So it was just sort of this weird thing like, no, you don't touch it anymore. They like it too much. That's the vibe I got. I don't know if that's what actually happened. That's my imaginary sort of thing of like, hey. But I mean, I feel like that could be what possibly happened with those games. But they would have to trust another studio to do a game like Fallout.
Yeah, and there's not that many studios you would trust.
You know what I wish they would do, because they're all under Xbox now, is I wish they would take a small subset of Bethesda, a small subset of In Exile, and a small subset of Obsidian, and just form a temporary team to work on the next Fallout, because they all have the chops, they all have the history, and they're all under Xbox now, so that rivalry thing, right, can be mitigated to a point, and really just put them in a corner and let them work together and figure it out, right? That's the whole point of owning so many studios, is to have that cross collaboration and the ability to draw people from other areas and bring them together and share resources.
Yeah, and we got a lot of conversations in chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. You guys are amazing, having really good conversations. I am reading them. And a couple people said that Infinite Umbra says Obsidian says he would love to return to Fallout, but that it wouldn't likely be feasible due to the projects they're working on currently. Yeah, they're working on a lot of games right now. I can't remember all of them at the top of my head. But I'm pretty sure they're working like 2-3 games right now. Was it Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds 2.
Outer Worlds 2
and something unnamed, I think.
And then probably probably something else that they're cooking. Grounded. They're probably working on Grounded 2, honestly. Or somebody at the studio is. Yeah.
Well, that was a small team, right? That was like
I
don't remember how many people was working on Grounded, but I'm pretty sure it was a very small team working on Grounded. So Grounded 2 could be something else they're working on. But man, I would love for Obsidian to do a New Vegas 2 or another just trusted developer. There's not a lot of people that can handle Bethesda's RPG. That's the thing. Xbox does have the benefit of, hey, we own a lot of RPG studios. We basically are the house of RPG greatness. So it would have to be one of the other studios, or what Holly was kind of saying, just take some people there, and make
almost realistically, what it would have to be would be almost kind of what Playground did, where they essentially made a second team and built it up, moved people over from the Forza team to lead the Fable project, and hired more people so they could do Fable and Forza at the same time. They would probably have to do something like that, where like Bethesda just creates another studio, another team, and takes the people who would lead the Fallout stuff and put them over there, and then just hire a whole bunch of people to fill the spots to be able to do it. I think Bethesda, the way they're set up, is almost like, and this is just Bethesda Game Studios, right? This isn't like id or Machine Games. They're almost still set up in a way like it's the 360 generation, where they can pump out like a game every couple years, where it's like, oh, development only takes a couple years of time, so we can get out like Fallout, and we can get out Skyrim, and we could get out Oblivion. It almost sort of seems like they never really evolved like more than that, because it's like one team that does all the games. But like now that games take 4 to 5 to 6 years to make, now you're almost waiting like, oh, you'll get Starfield this generation and that's it. And then you'll get Elder Scrolls next generation and that's it, right? Instead of the multiple releases, you basically you're going to have to wait. So it never really seems like they evolved to go with the, flow of these new development timelines that have cropped up in the industry.
Yeah. Oh my man, I really want to predict the future and what they will do, and because you're right, Randy. I mean, you brought up the point that they need to start working on games, like just have Fallout come out, have some of their smaller franchises come out. A big point that I thought of when you were talking about that was Halo. Halo is one of those games where for a while they would say like they don't want to oversaturate the market, so the teams were very like kind of hamstrung, like we have to do a specific type of experience. I think Halo would very much benefit from being released into many different genres and many different types of game. If you have a huge universe like Halo, you need a lot of different games. You like Star Wars. No one is saying Star Wars should only be a first-person shooter because it's a large universe. You have different sections of Star Wars where people are Jedis. You have some people like it would be interesting to focus on stormtroopers. Have games focus on like air combat because people love the X-wing fighters and TIE fighters. It's a huge universe, so you can focus on different parts of the game. And just to have Halo as a first-person shooter, as much as I love Halo, it would really benefit from jumping outside of what people know it to be. And Fallout is also a game that it's been a while since the last one, but 76, I feel like that's one of the reasons why they did 76 was while people wait, at least they have that reoccurring content for online play. So that is a good thing about 76. Like while people do wait for that next Fallout, at least they have online 76 and there's a lot to experience there. I haven't played it in a long time, but from what I've seen and what people have been experiencing, it looks pretty dope from all the updates they've been adding. So I definitely got to check that out. So
quick question.
Yeah.
Well, just before we move on, what would you guys think if they did more of an original style Fallout, like more like Fallout 1 or 2, where it was leaning more into NXIL's expertise? Would that kind of cover before the Bethesda team could get back into their groove of doing a Fallout 5? Would something like that, where something that's more of a turn-based, do you think that could hold the audience over, or is it definitely have to be like a first or third person RPG standpoint?
Well, I'm not saying it wouldn't be good, but I do feel the audience would be less for an exile turn-based Fallout RPG. I think like to maximize potential, you need it to be Fallout 5 or Fallout New Vegas 2, essentially.
Yeah, because while I say like it would be cool to see it in other genres and stuff, I'm speaking more so specifically to Halo, but for Fallout, I mean, Fallout didn't start off as the game that we know it today. I'm pretty sure the first Fallout game was that top-down sort of experience, and Bethesda wanted to sort of modernize and change some things to fit their formula. So I do also generally believe that certain genres of games are more, sadly, I mean, more acceptable to the mass audience and also to Game Awards, things like that. You'll see specific genres always hit the Game Awards and casual audiences than a top-down type game, which does suck.
Hey, now that there's a video game adaptation award at the Keeleys, we know what one's winning it this year, right?
Well, Fallout, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It has to be.
yeah. What other video game adaptations are even happening this year?
Is Last of Us this year?
No, it won for last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, no, did it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He created it specifically to give PlayStation more wins.
Imagine
right?
he gets rid of it this year.
Like there weren't enough nominations, so we pulled that category.
There's definitely some movies, if not TV shows, because Borderlands, I'm pretty sure, is this year, and then the Super Mario Bros. Movie that was last year. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. So, I don't know what else is coming out this year besides Borderlands and.
Is there another Sonic movie this year?
Oh, there's a Sonic TV show and the Sonic movie. I think
the Knuckles.
The Knuckles TV show.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's that. So that could be pretty. I mean, comparable to Fallout.
I mean, at least there's 3 contenders. You could have a category. Fallout's winning.
Yeah. For sure. And
I can already see the cast up there to accept.
Have you seen Westworld?
No, I never watched Westworld.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I recommend Westworld to you guys because I mean that's why I was so excited for the Fallout show because Jonathan Nolan directed the Westworld show, and I was like, ooh, if it has the vibes of Westworld, which it really does when you watch the show, it's like.
Are there 4 seasons of Westworld? I've watched 2 or 3. I can't remember.
I think there's. I remember there's the season with guy from Breaking Bad, Jesse, and I think he was in the second season.
Oh yeah, no, was that second or third? There was like a gap for a while too, right? Because people didn't know if it was going to be able to come back.
Yeah,
and then they did.
There's 4 seasons. I just looked it up.
4. Okay.
I didn't see all 4 seasons.
Yeah, I made it through like 2, I think.
Yeah. I did like the first one the best, honestly, but the second one's like okay, and then I didn't get a chance to watch 3 and 4. But if I do recommend the first one at least, like people should definitely check that out. If you guys like the Fallout show, it does have a lot of similar vibes. It does build up to moments and stuff. So yeah, definitely recommend it.
I have one more question too. What you guys think, real fast?
Yep.
Just real fast. So Amazon is usually the one that they'll drop the first 3 episodes of a season, and then they'll do the week to week for the rest. But this one, they just dumped it all at once. Any theories on why that happened? I have no idea. I'm just curious.
I got a theory.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they weren't too sure how well the show would do week to week. They weren't sure if it would hold an audience. So I think they thought maybe it's better to drop it all because to get people talking about it and get people the word out there that the show is actually pretty good. Because Amazon takes a weird approach sometimes. Because when Reacher came out, season 1, they dropped all the episodes at once. And then season 2 was week to week. And then Reacher became like their biggest hit.
Reacher is so good.
Right, but people forget that the first season was a binge watch. Now, if Paris was still here, I'd be like, how did that show become the biggest show on Amazon if people stopped watching, talking about it after a week, Paris, you know what I'm saying? But even The Boys season 1, I believe, was a
I think they released all the episodes for
all the episodes at once.
Yeah.
And then the seasons after were all week to week. Jack Ryan was also all the episodes at once until they moved it to week. So what I think they'll do with Fall is like they weren't too sure how it would go. So they're like, all right, what we'll do is we'll drop all the episodes at once. We'll get a lot of support on social media, drive people to watch it, and then season 2, I guarantee you season 2 is going to be week to week.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't remember what they did for Invincible. I'm pretty sure that maybe that was one. Invincible
season 1?
Yeah,
I think they dropped that.
They dropped the whole thing, or that's one I'm trying to remember if that was.
I think Invincible dropped 3 episodes and then it was week to week.
Okay,
but
probably because they were riding the hype of The Boys, right? Because they already knew that it was a spinoff.
But Amazon does this sometimes where they do drop full seasons and then like for the following season they'll do it week to week. So I think maybe it's based on how much hype, because I know Wheel of Time ended up being week to week, and we don't need to talk about that. That's hurts my heart.
I really liked Wheel of Time. I know you hate it because you read them, but
it's not that I hate it. It's just like,
it's just not your book in your mind.
Did you read the book first and then you watch is it a movie or a show?
It's a show.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, have you heard the story of my name?
Yeah.
If I read the books first.
It's like your favorite book series, right?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
RandalThor is the main character in the books in the series. Right. So I mean, yeah, like it's a series. We don't need to get into it, but there's aspects that they just kind of murdered, and it was just kind of just like, oh my god. And Lord of the Rings, was week to week. So I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it depends, like, on how they feel the hype is going to be and stuff like. And then maybe they just weren't too sure with Fallout, so they're like, all right, well, we saw it once, and we'll get all the gamers behind it. The gamers will push the message out, and we'll,
Now it's number one on Prime right now.
Yeah,
indeed. So
who saw that come?
I do got it. I do have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So now that we've seen Fallout show, Halo show, Last of Us show, we're getting Gears, we're getting a Horizon and a God of War. Is there any still property, video game related, that you really want to see made into a TV show or a movie still?
Yes, I can go right away because it's super easy for me. Dishonored.
Oh, yeah, the little Corvo mask you got behind you. Mm-hmm.
That's my second. Yeah, it's my second favorite game of all time, and the world for that, BioShock.
Okay.
I
knew there was a reason I liked you, because BioShock.
Yeah.
BioShock is the best, and they better get it right. Otherwise, there'll be a lot more hate watching. No, Dishonored, the world is like, just think about a world built like that in a game. I feel like it would, or in a TV show, it'd be fantastic.
So I gotta ask, so then what did you think of Deathloop? As someone who really enjoyed Dishonored.
Arcane is my favorite studio.
Okay. How'd you feel about Redfall?
You know what? Redfall was, I only played it a little bit when it came out. I played it later, and after it had been patched up a bit, and I played it with some friends. It's not a fantastic experience, but it's not like a horrible doom and gloom, like I hate my life while I'm playing this thing either. Having said that, Deathloop is really, really interesting. I just didn't get it into it as much as all the other Arcane games, right?
Right.
I don't know. Dishonored and Prey are just perfection.
Yeah, Prey, the first off, the beginning of Prey, that intro is still one of the best I've seen.
That song where you take off in the helicopter, that song, I can't tell you how many times a week I listen to that song. I love it. So
good. And people should watch that. They did a whole sort of like documentary on how they did the first part of the game. I can't remember. Maybe it's No Clip. They did.
No Clip did one on it.
Yes. Go check that out, because the intro to Prey is absolutely stunning. I want to say a couple games, but I mean, Mass Effect was my first thought. Then the chat started saying it, so I'm like, now I gotta.
You stole that was mine. You stole it, and the chat stole it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna mix it up. I think Dead Space would be a cool movie. I don't know how long.
Dude, you just stole what I literally was thinking. Dead Space. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm thinking Dead Space because my brain went like, okay, the chat stole Mass Effect, and I was thinking of another EA game. I'm like, all right, what else did they make? And then eventually it hit. I mean, BioShock would be cool, but they're already making BioShock, so Dead Space would be a good movie. I do wonder how it would work as a TV show, because it's very horror based. I mean, you got American Horror Story. They did a decent job for a horror TV show. You just don't see it very often. That would be interesting to see. Before I say any other ones, I don't want to steal Rand's next thing. So what do you think, Rand? What about you? You brought up the question, so like,
I mean, I got a couple in mind. I was thinking Mass Effect right from the start. Yeah. Right? Just give it to Apple TV, because they do all the sci-fi stuff, which is fantastic, right? I'm thinking like give it the budget of Foundation. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Foundation on Apple TV, but
Yes.
it's really good. So I was like Mass Effect, but so I was like, okay, can't use Mass Effect, and I was like, oh, Dead Space, but then it's like, no, you took it. I was like, all right. So I was thinking, one, I'm gonna go with a Bethesda studio, Wolfenstein.
Oh yeah,
kind of like set it up in like a Amazon already kind of did the Man in High Castle, right, with alternate. And I was just like, oh man, that could be so cool. But then the other one I thought of was Red Dead Redemption.
Ooh, yeah, I did
Western.
think about that.
One
You
or
have to do
two?
that right, though. You have to.
I think you got to start with 2, and then you can bleed it into 1. And you know,
I personally like Arthur's story better than Marston's.
But those are the 2 that kind of was like, all right, let's do a Wolfenstein show, and not a lot of westerns anymore. And I think you could make a good one, and it'd be expensive to make for sure. So
yeah, for sure.
Those would be mine.
Whoever does it, they have to really get a good showrunner if it's a show, or a really good director, because like the best thing about Red Dead for me is the characters and how believable they are, and how basically making you feel like a cowboy. So you need that same feeling of what they did with Fallout. Like you feel like you're in the Fallout universe. I need that feeling again for Red Dead, because that game holds a candle in my heart for sure. What a game! Every time I think about it, I'm just like, whew, amazing. All right, let's get to the second topic. So,
wait. I got.
Okay,
skipping
okay,
over
go
Fuzzy. He's
let's,
got
sorry,
ideas.
sorry. Go ahead.
He
Fuzzy.
wants his Forza Motorsport TV show. Damn it!
Yes, they got Gran Turismo. So,
no, I'm gonna go. People in the chat have already said Starfield, and that's one, especially after seeing Fallout. Starfield's up there, but for ones that may have flown under the radar, especially after seeing Jack Reacher and a few other Tom Clancy ones, I would love for them to either finally release that Division movie, or at least turn it into a series. There was a short done by like a few content creators back when the game first came out, that those shorts that were like 16 minutes or so were awesome for just like short stories. So something that expands upon that. I mean, I guess the big thing, everybody was afraid to touch it because of the time of the pandemic and stuff, but I would love to see a Division, either TV series or movie done. And then the other one, which I know the studio itself is having a difficult time kind of being disorganized right now, but there's so much lore to Destiny, and it would be great to turn like Cade's story into an actual series or movie. I think that might be the saving grace, even though they're getting ready to end Destiny with the final shape and stuff. But I think that would be a good send off for the series, or maybe they, do a spinoff or like a prequel with Cade's story and stuff leading up to the events type of thing. But those are the main ones that come to mind, like being more of a sci-fi or like post-apocalyptic or military, focused stuff. Those are the ones that stand out for me.
Dang, I could stay on this topic for a while, because someone in chat said, Punty, he said, I want 5 seasons of a cyberpunk show. Ooh, yes.
I mean, they did Edge Runners.
Yes,
because because even when I was thinking like, oh, what are the great video game adaptations? I completely forgot about Edge Runners.
Yeah, and
how much I adored Edge Runners, and I even forgot the other one. Like when we talk about which one should need a TV show, nobody really. Some people mention it, but is like Arcane on Netflix
top show,
top tier.
Yeah, and
I still like when I in my mind I'm like okay, which ones are the best? Like honestly, it's like Fallout. It's Fallout, Edge Runners, Arcane, Last of Us, and I'm not necessarily sure in that order, but they're all basically 1 through 4. And like I don't care at all about League of Legends. Right?
Yeah, same. I knew nothing about
the show, and I was loved every single second. And it does have that tie to Fallout, because Ella Purnell, who plays Lucy, in Fallout, she is the voice of the crazy girl
Jinx.
in Jinx
Yeah.
in Arcane. So there's a lot of cool stuff you could do, like give us a Mass Effect show, damn it.
Yeah, Mass Effect like was the first show I thought of, because that can translate very well to being.
Weren't we getting a Zelda movie? Didn't they announce like a Zelda movie?
Oh yeah, I think the studio that is doing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, they want to just do a bunch of Nintendo products, and then they basically want to spin off their own Nintendo universe, and then making them interconnected like Marvel. So that's a cool idea. I mean, you start off with Mario, you get the Zelda, who's next, and they do like a maybe
Metroid,
like a Metroid or like a Donkey Kong movie, and then eventually do a Super Smash Bros. Movie, like Avengers. Let's go. Let's do it. I don't even like Nintendo like that, but that would be very, very cool. But if you guys have not seen Arcane, anybody in the chat, please go watch it.
that animation though.
Yes, I'm a 10 out of 10 show, for sure. I forgot about that show until you just mentioned it, Rand, which I feel bad about. Go watch that show. All right, so $70 games dying was our second topic. I could really talk about that first one all day, just because I love movies and adaptions, and it's in my industry too of animation, and I love that stuff. But this is a topic me and Fuzzy talked about briefly on the last show, and I'm bringing up the screen so you guys can see. So we briefly talked about in our last show. Love to get the panel's take on this article, and maybe we can dive even deeper onto the topic. So basically, a Saber Interactive, Ember Arch. He believes things are changing for the industry, and the $70 price point will be going extinct. He says, and I quote, "I think that as games become more expensive to make, the $70 title is going to go the way of the dodo bird. I just don't think it's sustainable. Look, you remember the hype for Cyberpunk, which I think actually ultimately performed okay, but when the expectations are so high and so much money is put into one title, it's hugely risky for the company that's doing it. But if it fails, you remember what happened when Ubisoft a couple of years ago, all their titles slipped out of the year, and then all of a sudden they were in an entirely different place, ? It's hard to recover from that. I think the market is going to shift to development, which is not necessarily lower quality, but there's going to be an emphasis on trying to find ways to reduce costs," Karch tells IGN. And then he follows it up by, "In general, I would say that AAA development has become very risky, and that's where Saber is different. Saber, I believe, can create AAA, but not a AAA budget game," end quote. So this got into interesting topics of conversation. I feel like a lot of developers plus journalists tend to mention more so the generality of this conversation. We know that development costs are rising. Games like Spider-Man 2 cost $300 million to develop. Despite it being very similar to the first game, you would think that with systems already in place, sequels to games would go down in costs since the base is there. But across the industry, we see prices going up. It's rising. So what I mean by developers and kind of journalists discussing sort of the generality of this conversation, games have also been monetized to hell in the past few years. And gamers have had to become more susceptible to half-finished games as well. So with the promise of like updates and or franchise games sort of taking away features and the spin of selling it to you later on, the generality to me kind of goes into the conversation of successful games. How many examples have we seen in the industry of like a game being incredibly successful, yet the developer is still getting laid off? That isn't a problem of like the profit margin, is kind of I feel like it's a problem with the system itself. It's a problem with the model of needing increasing profit with each game or its deemed failure of expectation. You get developers like Square Enix, for example, always complaining about the costs of game development while also restricting their audience to the smallest gaming base, which is consoles. And there was also a time when I feel like people had this sort of trade-off mentality with monetization. If you put monetization in a game, then it should be free, or you should do this with it because you're putting monetization in it. I mean, that used to be the mentality for people. Now it's pretty much in just about every game. So I am also a part of the problem, because if I see a golden horse or something in a game, I'm probably gonna get it. So I am a part of the monetization problem. So that's just some of my thoughts on this article. Like, I do want to bring it to you guys because it does bring up a lot of just different branches of conversation when he talks about $70 games going away, potentially getting more expensive. I think Alana Pierce did a great job at the Game Awards, basically kind of talking about games being successful, but developers still getting laid off. So I don't feel like games need to exceed that cost and get more and more expensive. I feel like the model is kind of broken. But I'll bring it to you, Holly. With this article in mind, do you think $70 titles are going to increase? What do you think?
I think there's a lot of people still pushing back on $70, even though it's not really successful, right? $70 is still becoming, I guess you could say, still becoming normalized, just by the fact that people are starting to just now like give up the fight. Although I still hear a lot of people complain about $70. I don't think they're going to go down. These big AAA games are not going to get cheaper. We just saw Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws come in at $130 for the super deluxe edition. So those are still a thing too, right? But this also, it does a lot. This goes many different ways, right? You could go down the angle of, well, is this the rise of the double A's and the indies, and kind of this like grassroots revolution, right? In how people look for games, what games they're willing to play versus only staying with the AAA stuff. Maybe they're willing to branch out of that. Game Pass has certainly done a lot for giving those smaller games a lot of viewership and a lot of interaction that they would have not gotten before. So I would think that there's something, at least in the Xbox ecosystem, that would show that, people are pivoting to trying out those games a little bit more. But ultimately, the other thing that ties into this is the fact that we just had those statistics come out that like 60% of the games played are more than 5 years old, right? So it's and it's a lot of live service, right? Fortnite, Minecraft, Sea of Thieves.
No old games.
Yeah, they're all old games, right? And I'm also guilty like you, right? Like I pump oodles of money into Call of Duty every year, and thank God my stuff came forward this year. I don't think it's moving forward, into the next one, but it's just a mechanism of, that's a game I play a lot. I want the thing, I pay for it, whatever, move on. But how people are consuming games is different than it used to be, right? Especially with live service. And I think the $70 thing is also a part of trying to navigate how the industry is changing with now these constant, service games versus these linear experiences, or the things that are a one and done. And I don't know. The subscription models too are also, playing factors on that, like we just talked about. Yep. But I think it's a hard sell to get people to want to buy a $70 game every month, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, right? Like the cadence that are coming out.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of good points. It's just I personally don't get a lot of $70 games. It really has to
Yeah.
it really has to wow me. And I mean, it's also the power of Game Pass. I was mentioning this. If games do go up in price, that does raise the value of Game Pass even more. If games are like $80-$90, then you get an $80-$90 game in Game Pass. If you know, if it is if it's available in Game Pass. So that is a good thing for Game Pass. But I am not out here buying a lot of $70 games, but I did mention in the last episode that, you know, price is subjective to different people. If I'm a huge Scott Pilgrim fan, so let's say a huge next gen Scott Pilgrim open world game came out and it was like $80, I would probably get it, you know.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is subjective to the game. It's subjective to different people. But for the most part, I what you mentioned, Holly, I think across the board, a lot of people aren't buying $70 games to the point that they were before. But it's also at an interesting point because the gaming industry is booming with a lot of people buying games on mobile and PC, stuff like that. But we don't usually see $70 games on PC that I could think of, right?
But they have gone that way though, right? Don't most new releases on PC come out at $70 now? I mean, I know that's new. It's new to PC, but it's starting to, right?
Yeah.
But the big advantage with PC at that point, you got things like CD keys and I think GG deals
And
where you can usually, you can most of the time get those for the $70 edition or the $80 edition for somewhere in the $60 range. So it's like you can do the upgrade for less than what the standard price is at that point.
Yeah.
So I do know you need to head out soon, Holly. Do you have any time or should
No,
I?
we're fine.
We're good. We're good.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Rand. So same question to you, man. $70 games.
It's a loaded question when you think about it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things.
A lot of different branches of conversation. We had like what Square Enix always complaining. You know, we have. I mean, what Holly just mentioned with like $70 games. Not a lot of people are buying $70 titles. Yeah, I mean, it does get into a lot of topics of conversation. So, what is like I guess the first thing that comes off the mind when you hear like from this article when he was kind of just talking about, you know, it's expensive to make, games are expensive to make. That's why it has to be 70. Maybe it has to increase even more. Things to that point.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, they stayed at 60 for so long that you knew at some point prices were going to go up and consumers would have pushback. And for the most part, it's one thing if you're going to charge a Call of Duty for 70, because I think people would buy it regardless, or maybe not necessarily for 100, but you know, people love that series so much. I think what the higher price points do is they really hurt newer games. Like Immortals of Avrium came out at 70, and you know, yeah, you can say what you will about like the marketing for the game or the name of the game, but sometimes when you're sitting there and you got $70 to spend, you're just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. And the refund policies, especially on consoles, is pretty bad for the most part. So it's like, okay, I could spend the $70 on something I'm not sure on, and I don't know if I'm gonna like it, and then it might be difficult for me to get my money back. So I think it works for the bigger franchises, but it really, I think, is slowing down growth for like the newer IPs that also want to be priced like AAA. Even though we've seen a lot of successes recently, like Helldivers 2, huge success, $40, right? Pal World, I think, was like what, 20, and that was like a massive success. So you can still have successes at different price ranges. I think it's just very difficult for new games to come in and also be like, we're 70, because then you're being compared to the other games that exist in that space that are that expensive, and people are less willing to part with their money. I do think prices will go up again, because we've seen Phil talk about this in recent interviews.
Right.
About like the exclusivity of a game kind of like butts heads with the game budget, right? Where it's like, oh, well, maybe we need to put this game on more platforms to get more return because the games are so expensive. Plus, we all saw the Spider-Man leaks, and how much licensed IPs are taking, and like I could easily see the price going up to 80 next generation to kind of help smooth out the cost. And I don't know how much more you can go up from there. I will say I think they've already kind of, I don't want to say they've already moved up, but for a lot of these games, you see titles that have 3 versions, with the highest version being like $120. Most recently, Star Wars Outlaws got a lot of backlash for the price, and they're selling even like 3-day early access to get people really like, oh, I want 3. It's selling the FOMO to you, right? Starfield did a similar thing. I think it was $100 for their other edition that came with some trinkets, like an expansion.
Yeah,
but even still, it's like it was $100, right? And you have no clue how the expansion's going to be. It could be crap for all you know, but you're giving them $100, and we are seeing more and more studios do this, where they offer a version that has the early access that is a little bit more expensive. So you can already see them kind of inching that way of like wanting people to pay more to make sure they recoup their costs. But it's a tough fight, because the more expensive you get, the better free-to-play looks.
Yep.
Because there are so many experiences on console you can have without spending a dime that it's tough to justify for some people. Why should I spend $80 on, let's just say Dragon's Dogma 2, when I can spend nothing in Fortnite and play to my heart's content, or Call of Duty Warzone, or Minecraft, or Roblox, right? I'm not necessarily, I think there's all these bunch of factors, but I really also do think what also hurts the $70 and beyond is free to play, because you can have these full fat gaming experiences that are just as big as AAA graphically, and maybe even more content for the price of nothing. And while Holly will spend bunch of money, and so it keeps the rest of us who don't spend anything happy, right? I think that really does affect the space, because you have people just being like, no, I'd rather spend my money on Goku skins in Fortnite instead of buying another game. They'll be like, well, I'd rather spend my money on this pink gun in Call of Duty. That is the cost of like an indie game or whatever. And I don't really think that sort of friction is going to go away, because as Holly rightly mentioned, like, look, 60% of all game time in games are based off of games that were 5 years old. And I think it was Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Roblox accounted for like 27% of all game time.
Does Call of Duty count for that though? Because they have a new entry every year. Like, are they still counting that like as Call of Duty period? So it's the same. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I mean, because you launch it from the same launcher now, so they might kind of
start bridging it. But
group it
I wouldn't be
together,
surprised if they didn't, because of how big Call of Duty is. Though.
But I mean, Warzone is free to play, and
and that's that's a good
so
point.
it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, games are so expensive. What do we do? Well, we raise the price of the game purchases. Okay, well, but the market's not actually increasing. What do we do? Well, we could raise the price of games again, or we essentially need to find new audiences. But then it's like, okay, well, where are you going to get the new audiences from? Not really sure. Maybe other platforms. But what do you do if you're already fully multi-platform? Where you get the new audiences from? I don't know. It's like, well, our competition is, like we're competing with these other games that are free. It's kind of the industry, I think, is going to be in a very, very weird and different place 5 to 10 years from now than what it currently is, or what people have like grown up with it and what they perceive what the video game industry should be versus what it's going to end up being in the future.
Right.
And I do think they'll try to raise prices again, but I don't know how much further they're going to get beyond, say, 80. because I think people will start to really balk. Like people might be like 70, okay, extra $10. Maybe I don't buy the new IPs, but you're gonna move up even more. It's like, okay, well, that's only gonna work for the NBA 2Ks of the world, the games that are already super successful.
And then you match those experiences. You have like a $70 game that's going to be like GTA 6, for example, right? And then you have
Which
like
they could probably sell for 100 and
probably
get away with it.
Yeah. But let's say they release it at $70, GTA 6, and then you get a $70 like indie game. Those are completely different experiences, and it starts to kind of denounce what does this price point actually mean for people. Like if I'm getting a $70 game and I'm playing a game like GTA 6 and then also getting that same game for like that same price for like a lesser quality not AAA game, it's just like people will start to question it a little bit. I think EA or someone even mentioned, it was either EA or it was the developers of Diablo, where they were saying like maybe people should start tipping.
That was Mike
That was
Ibarra.
Mike Ibarra.
Mike Ibarra. Okay. So
That's tip. I will say I did have this happen. It doesn't happen to me recently where I thought about buying a game and the price put me off. I didn't play Dragon's Dogma 1. When Dragon's Dogma 2 came out, like some of the FOMO was getting to me because I saw everybody's like loving it, and I'm like, all right, well, should I get this? And I sat there and I was like, well, if I buy it, I could write it off of my taxes next year, but I was just like, I was like, I kind of want to play, but I was just looking at him like 7. I was just like, I don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's gotten to that point where even, me, I'm just sometimes looking and be like, I don't know if I want to risk it. Whereas like before, maybe what, but then sometimes it's also, we've seen it with Hellblade too. If you're not $70, people will be like, what's wrong with you?
Now
there must be something wrong with you if you're not the full $70. Right. So that sort of thing goes both ways. I don't know, man. Like I think the higher the prices get, free to play looks better and better and better. And then subscriptions look better and better. But at the same time, the publishers sell those games to the subscription services, but now they're charging more. So now it probably costs Microsoft and Epic and PlayStation more to grab those games. And if it costs them more, but they're not seeing the growth they want to say, so then they would want to see. So maybe they would curb their spending a bit. So yeah, I mean, to help subscriptions, you could pay $15, but are the games in the subscription that people actually want to play? Are there going to be $70 in the subscription? And that's not necessarily the case a lot of the times. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And just one quick thing too about live service, right? Like we're talking about, well, free to play are more attractive, but inherently free to play games have their own financial issues too, right? Because during the Google and Epic trial, we found out Fortnite isn't even profitable. So like you're like, Fortnite, if Fortnite can't make money doing this, right? Like where do we go, right? Or how does this evolve?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I hope not everybody can do free to play, and not everyone can do a live service game. I mean, we're starting to see different developers jump into it. Sony, I mean, we'll see what they end up doing with it, but they obviously have made that plan to try of however many live service games. They wanted to do that because of the reoccurring revenue that you can get from a game that is live service. But not everybody can do it to the level of Fortnite. And like you mentioned, Holly, is it even profitable? I don't know. Probably not. That we learned from that trial. And that trial is bringing up a lot of interesting things. I feel like a lot of people need to pay attention to anything dealing with Epic and Apple, because that will kind of determine what happens to the future of gaming storefronts and
I mean, Epic is doing a lot of this out of their own self-interest, but ultimately it's just going to help all of us somehow.
Like they want to do it to benefit them, but it will benefit us because Apple has had such a very hardcore sort of like
stranglehold
on their market, and I do hope in the future that lessens up a bit. They can't put Game Pass on the Apple Store really because of their weird policy. Like it's very weird that they decided like, hey, if you want to put Game Pass on the Apple Store, you can do that, but every game has to have like its own separate download link, and you have to be able to purchase it through the Apple Store, and that almost defeats the entire purpose of Game Pass. I mean, that does defeat the purpose of Game Pass. But
they didn't do that for Netflix.
Yeah, but they didn't do that for Netflix. They don't allow you like, oh, if you want to watch an individual movie on Netflix, you have to buy it. Like it's very, I don't know, geared to however they want it to work, and it does feel very monopolistic in that regard. But I do hope it just opens up and we start getting competition, because competition's always good, always a good thing to have. And that trial is very interesting to me because I do want, I mean, Phil has been teasing it for years, having an Xbox storefront like kind of open up, kind of like Google and Apple having their own store similar to those. I mean, they've canceled the Windows phone product, which is a shame. I do hope that does come back one day, but I do think it is a precursor. Once those stores open up, more people would be willing to participate in this market. But right now, it's like the big two. You got Apple versus Google right now. So we'll see what happens. And Epic, of course, they're in that battle. So Fuzzy, this conversation, everything we all just discussed. What are your thoughts? I know it does have a lot of different branches of conversation, right? Like what $70 means to the industry. What do you think?
Well, for me as a consumer, like I look at it as 70 wouldn't be as much of a stick for me if it wasn't for broken game releases, day one patches, 3 months later and it's still not fixed kind of issue. Like the fix it in post approach that a lot of these studios have. And I get it. The publishers have a deadline. The shareholders want their money. The game needs to, be pushed out the door at a certain time. But if you're going to charge $70, like when they did that $10 increase, my expectation went up $10 as well. Yes, I know the cost of living goes up and blah, blah, blah. But to some extent, it's like, you guys were kind of in some studios, not all, some studios were struggling with releasing, games that didn't need a day one patch. I mean, it's kind of the norm now, but a lot of games, 6 months down the road, either they would have to update the content or they would have to update the drivers or they would have to update something to make it so it's a better experience. But if you had just waited, like when the game is like 50% off at that point, that's probably the best time to buy it. And with price of the games going to 70, it's kind of pushed me into that for a lot of the games that I used to buy without second guessing. Like when they were 60, there were so many games that I would wind up buying that would eventually, by the time I got around to playing them, they were already in Game Pass, or they were already free on Epic, or they were already, on PS Plus or something along those lines. So I probably wasted a lot of money on games that I didn't touch for 6 months. Now it's free somewhere, or it's in a subscription service that I'm already subscribed to. So it's made me look at how I'm approaching some of those game purchases. And then when they decide to raise the price, well, it's like, oh yeah, I'm really going to scrutinize it now at this point for the fact that, if the game has to, if the gamers have to wait, 3 to 6 months before the game to be fully working properly and have all the stuff that they promised at launch, actually work, it's better to just buy it when it's on sale. If you can withstand the FOMO on social media, you get the better experience. All the patches, maybe some extra content, maybe some apology content because they screwed up the launch. They usually wind up giving free skins or a free mode or something like that they throw in there. So by the time you if you've waited that long, you can now get like the ultimate edition for the price of the standard or even less at that point. So it's there's so many issues I have with the 70 as well, with the transition from physical to digital. Like we're finding out, and we've kind of all known to some extent, especially with the platforms now finally following the lead of PC. PCs haven't had disk drives in them for decades. Well, it feels like decades, but at least a decade at this point. And consoles are now starting to offer that as an option. But we all know that they want to go in that direction because that's the best way to lock you to their platform. But they're saving a ton of money because there's less production costs and stuff. I mean, sure, servers still cost money. They still have to have those files somewhere. But as far as distribution and printing costs and all that, they save a good bit. But they're not going to pass that on to us. They put that in the pocket. But then the drawback is a lot of these publishers are making a bit more money because of those savings, and then it winds up not translating into paying the devs more or reducing the price for the consumer, or even if they just keep the price like where it was for all these years at 60. A lot of that, I guess, to some extent, they ate the cost in some regards and cut corners in others. But it's just a weird spot, and I do agree with Rand as far as there's going to be some sort of shakeup that comes about, and I think. For me, looking forward, I think something like Hellblade 2 is going to be the canary in the coal mine kind of thing, where not saying that every game needs to be a smaller experience, but I think that might be the way to go because the first Hellblade, I think they had like a $20 million budget, and that was like a Hail Mary for them. Like the last 20 million they kind of had on the table. Let's put this game with like AAA type production quality to it, where we have a shoestring budget in comparison to a lot of AAA studios out there. Right. And I'm not going to say that they have that same type of budget for 2. Obviously, it's going up. But then again, the investment with Microsoft with their new studio and all their equipment is going up as well. But I don't think their budget is quite like a 300 million plus range like a Spider-Man 2. And for that, hopefully they get their return on investment. But I think that's where a lot of studios are going to have to go, whether it's a 8-hour experience that you can extend to 20 hours, or it's a 20-hour experience that you can extend to 60 hours. Right. I think that's where some of these studios may have to look. And like the leaks with the Insomniac deal, where Spider-Man 3 might possibly be broken up into 3, $50, parts or whatever. I guess as long as those parts feel like a complete story and it's not like a cliffhanger, like we were joking about it on Xbox Ultimate on Friday, where it's like, you don't want to be flying through space and be like, tune in 2 years for the continuation of Starfield. No, we don't necessarily want something that's going to be along those lines, but I think that might be the way to go, moving forward, where
might be like having a token thing, like the game pauses, like put in 25.
Hopefully they never go that route, but no, I think they have to. Like they have to have a distinct budget. Like we're going in with only 100 million. That's all we have on the table. That's it. We can't do 101 million. Can't do 100 million, 50. No, it's 100 million. And the people we got is who we got, or we may have to, use Fiverr or contractors or whomever to get this thing to stay within that budget. And if it means a smaller experience, so be it. And I think if they can see the profit versus the cost, I think that would be the way that they at least try now. I'm not saying every game should go that route, but at least some of them should try that. Like Immortals of Avium, I don't know. I think their budget was like over 90 million. And that was a game where, yes, I understand it was UE5. They probably put a lot of technical know-how into making that look pretty, but it didn't land with the audience, and it didn't make its money back in that regard. So if they had gone to the table with 50 million, all right, let's try to make this look like AAA and get the gist of this to see if we can build an audience for this IP. So maybe we go, more all out on, part 2 type of thing. But it's going to be hard for like you guys have already said, it's going to be hard for any new IP when you're looking at like your favorites, like your Call of Duties or your 2Ks or your Maddens and things like that. That it's like you don't most people that buy those games on a regular basis aren't even thinking about it. It's like, oh, I got to get my VC or my extra bucks to get my player up to par, so that way they're competitive online. And it's like they don't even think twice about it. But you put a game that's like almost half that price in front of them that they've never heard of, and it's like that's where subscriptions would probably help, and then those items being on sale afterwards. But it's definitely going to be a tougher battle. But I think they just have to stick to a budget, be tighter with their budgets as far as whether they need a pit bull in the management standpoint, making sure that they're not, wasting time or, not answering, or meeting deadlines and things like that. So be it. But there's definitely got to be some changes. So that way, one, we don't get $80 games, and two, we don't continue to get these games that probably should be delayed 3 to 6 months to, have the best version at launch type of thing.
Facts. So I have a favor from you guys. On Zoom, can you see if you can click like a thumbs up to see? I believe if you hover over your Zoom window, there's like 3 dots, and I think that's how you do it. It's different for me. Okay, so Rand, you got it. How did you do it? Was it the 3 dots?
Reactions, and then
reactions. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
So same thing with you, Holly. Do you see the reactions?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So there's a reason why I'm asking that. So we are gonna do a little game. It's gonna be pretty fun. This is the PXE Showdown. So my guest, and was it guesties? A trivia show going through your knowledge as a gamer and / or comic nerd. If you don't know these questions, you guys can retire your gamer card at the door. So on Zoom, all you guys got to do is press that thumbs up icon, and that will enact as your buzzer. So you guys can test it out if you so choose. But be sure when once you put your hand up that you put it down for the next series of questions. So we do want to set some ground rules. Rule number 1, don't look at the chat. Don't look at the chat if possible. Chat, you guys can participate in this segment, but chat, they'll be cheating. They'll be looking it up and stuff like that.
Look, Holly's looking at chat right now.
Yeah. Don't listen to the chat. They'll lead you astray. So rule number 2, you guys can buzz in your answers so no one has to shout over anybody else. We could just have a clean battle. So just wait till I get through all the answers first, and then you can buzz in. And then rule 3, hands off the keyboard. And all that means is really just like, no looking stuff up and things like that. So, do you all swear by 3-Bits rules as the unbreakable law of our podcast universe?
So we have to wait for you to read out the whole question and answers before.
Yeah, I'll read it out like A, B, C, and then you'll be like,
okay.
And then you do the thing.
Rand is so confident. He's
I'm
knows
just
the
curious.
answers before.
No,
he's like, I just know it. Don't give answer options.
So like, I'll see whoever does it first, and then I'll call upon you. And if you get it right, then cool. So if you guys all have sweared by 3-Bits rule as though it was ordained by the podcasting gods themselves, so it shall be. All right. So let's begin. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Question number 1. So this is going to pop up on the screen. Which vault is the primary vault in the first Fallout game? You have A, Vault 103, B, Vault 13, or C, Vault 18. Which one? Which vault? Anybody have any guesses? Okay, Holly, go for it.
I'll guess. It's total guess. I think it's 13.
And you are correct. It is Vault 13. That is the very first Fallout game. That was a tricky one when I saw that. All right, question number 2. How many years after Fallout 4 does the TV series take place? We got A, 9 years from 2087 to 2296, B, 200 years, or C, 20 years? How many years? Yeah, Rand. I think Rand was first.
I believe it's 20 years.
Okay, so you say 20 years, and Ollie, what do you say? It looks like you guys.
I think it's 200.
So you guys say. So you say 200. You say 20. Fuzzy, you want to go for it?
Wait, this is the TV series from the last Fallout, or from the TV series from which one?
From Fallout 4. So this is 4, not like 3 or anything.
It's supposed to be just 9 years.
Okay, so you say 9 years. So we got a 20 years, a 200 years. This is gonna be interesting. So the correct answer is 9 years. So it actually was 9 years from Fallout 4. Now that one did confuse me a little bit, just because because in the show they talk about like 200 years and stuff like that from the guy. But yeah, that it is 9 years apparently.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is supposed to be 2287, which was like 100 or 200 years after 210 years after the war, and then it's 9 years into like 2096 for when the TV show starts. After when they first show the was it Fallout 33 or what do you call them, 33?
Yes. Yeah.
Vault 33.
In chat, they're like, chat is cheating. You guys are funny. So yeah, chat, you guys can participate too. We got question number 3. The first Final Fantasy game was released in which year? Is it A, 1989, B, 1987, or C, 1969? Which one?
I mean, I'll just take a guess.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll say. You said the first Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, the very first one was released in which year? You got A, 1989, you got B, 1987, or C, 1969.
I'm gonna go with 87.
Okay, and that is correct. That's crazy that you got that.
Because there's obviously it's not the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, Final Fantasy 7 came out in 97. And I was like, there's no way they did 6 other games between 1989 and 1997, right? So I was like, it's got to be 87 then.
Yeah, I tried to throw you guys off with the 89 one, but it didn't. Question number 4. We got like one more after this. What is the name of the damsel in distress in the original Donkey Kong arcade game? We got A, Lady, B, Peach, or C, Pauline. Oh, you guys, it looks like you did it at the same time.
It was Rand first.
Okay. Rand.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess and say it's Pauline.
Okay, and what was your guess? Just for the sake of it. Holly.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was Peach, but it feels like a trick question.
It is, because the answer is actually Pauline, which is crazy because I thought it was going to be Peach when I looked it up, and I was like, who the heck is Pauline? So we've entered the pixel bonus round. This last question is worth 2 points. I would offer prizes like the last time I did this, but I got bills to pay. I got stuff. So no prizes, but honor and glory, all that stuff. So how many Mario Party games has there been? You got A, 25.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
B, 12, C40, or E21, or D, none of the above. Yeah, go ahead. Holly.
No. Sorry. Clear me. It's okay. Let somebody else go.
Okay.
I didn't follow the rules.
True. So yeah, that was the question. How many Mario Party games has there been in total? So this counts from not just the console, is like the...
Can you go over the answers again?
Yes. There's A25, there's B12, there's C40, there's E21, or D, none of the above. This one I could allow you guys to like look at the video so you can at least see, because this one has more than just 3. You guys can look at the stream.
I mean, I'll take a guess, I suppose.
What's your guess?
I'll go with... I'll go with 25.
Okay. And Fuzzy, what do you say?
I'm going to say 21, but I just wanted to be different from Rand because I think it might be 25, but I'm going to say 21.
I don't know. There's part of me that thinks it's like 12.
Okay. And then Holly, what was
like yours? There can't be 25 Mario Party games, can there?
None of the above.
None of the above. Okay. And chat, what do you guys say? You got Prince Green saying 12. Some people saying none of the above. So we got some different answers.
Was this a trick question?
You know, I should have did this as a trick question, but no, the actual answer is A, 25.
Oh.
There are apparently 25 Mario Party games.
Wow.
Which surprised me because I thought there was more or less. I don't know.
I mean, 25 is a lot.
But that is a lot though. Imagine like 25 Halos. That'd be kind of crazy. But appreciate y'all. Thanks to the panel for coming to the PXE Showdown. Great show. Thanks for coming to my trivia night and entertaining me doing my
Where'd you get the questions from? You just like randomly look them up and...
Yeah, I just looked it up on the interwebs. You know,
we should have a question. It's like, when is this Silent Hill or when is this Splinter Cell remake releasing? That's 3-bit.
Oh yeah.
What year? 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028.
You know what? If I don't know, but I'm 6 at the latest.
I think we see it this year.
You think we see? Yeah, I think we see it this year.
I think one of the studios like updated their logo to the iconic.
You think so? I mean, yeah, we've seen like some LinkedIn things. We've seen some rumblings.
Can't wait for it to come out and not sell what they think, and then they put it on ice like EA did with Dead Space.
So just enjoy it while it comes out, then, Ray.
Yeah,
when it comes out, be sure to play it, enjoy it. I do hope the stealth genre does come back. Like, please come back. There's so many other genres out here where it's like, you know, you get your hack and slash games, you get your racing games, you get all that, and then the stealth genre is like peace, and they just faded out. And I'm like, come back, you know. So
that's one IP I would like to see become a TV series, which I think there might be something in the works for Splinter Cell.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was joking with peeps about it behind the scenes. I've seen like older versions of the game. But who knows what it looks like now or what they're doing it now? Because I'm pretty sure it's just a reboot. And I also don't want to get clipped, so I'm not going to say anything else. So appreciate everybody for coming on. Can't thank you guys enough for dropping on by. Holly, Rand, thanks for dropping in the show. Much respect and love to both of you guys. So I'm gonna close it out with you guys. Where can we find you on the social media? Holly, where can we find you?
Sure. I'm ThatBlueNumber on Xbox, Steam, PlayStation, Twitter. And I'm on Tuesday nights on the Renegade Realm podcast, and then on Friday nights with the Infinite podcast. And the other thing I'm promoting right now is that I work with Ben Kenobi on the fan art coins, which you guys have probably seen. They've blown up quite a bit recently. And like just kind of doing this a little bit, you can see this is the Hellblade coin.
Ooh.
Nice.
So they're really, really, really good. And he just sent me the Fallout coins, and the Fallout coin is probably my favorite. The beveling and stuff in it is just really, really good. So we are doing giveaways through Ben Kenobi's Twitter account, and then also through some of the podcasts that you might watch. The podcasts are a really good opportunity for you guys to really, shoot your shot and see how you can find those. We're going to be doing some of those with Boom and also ILP and Season Gaming are the three that are great supporters of us that always do these giveaways. And now we've added some more. Cold Eastwood is going to be giving some away, so check him out very soon. Brisket for the Biscuit's going to be giving some away on the Infinite podcast. And we also have Longhouse giving away a few, and Kay Asante as well is stepping up too for the Gaming Circle podcast. So we're starting to gain some traction, and I know everybody seems to really, really like them. So if you want a chance to win one, we're not selling them.
Oh, that was literally going to be my question. Okay.
I know. Yeah. We're not selling them right now. The only caveat I'll put out there is that because this is just us doing it, have a little patience. And we are also, at least through Ben's giveaway, not necessarily the podcasts. It's up to each podcast how they want to do it. But through Ben's giveaways, we are asking the winners to just pay us the exact cost of the shipping. So hopefully that's not too much of a hardship for people. It's pretty cheap because they're this big. So anyway, so be looking for that. Hellblade and Fallout and Pal World are also out there. Sorry. So we're gonna be doing those soon. So thank you. And thanks, guys. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, if I can request like a Scout Pilgrim one, that would be dope.
And Ben is also doing some custom coins for some shows too. If you're interested, DM me and I'll talk to Ben and we'll see what we can get going and give you some codes and stuff like that for anybody listening that wants one.
They look so well done. But of
they
course,
are. Yes. They're really, really well done. They are. The art on them is really good, and the detail is really good. So, thank you though, guys, for having me on, and this was fun, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to, was it Ben?
Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi. Shout out to you. Those, I want one, so that looks very very cool. Ran. Can't thank you enough for also dropping on by. I already mentioned on other shows the influence you bring to the space. So much respect to you, good sir. Tell us what you got going on or where people can find you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's always cool to hang with you and Fuzzy and Holly. It's you gotta, one of these times you have to tell me what is the story behind the name That Blue Number. I feel like there's gotta be a story behind that or something, right? Let's hear it. What's the story behind That Blue Number? What is the story behind it?
So you know how your first gaming name, right, is just your email address, and I have a Hotmail address because I've just had it since I was like a kid, right? And so I was like, I can't do that, right? And when I was changing it, I was trying to find something that I could have everywhere, even on Nintendo. And I had this flippin' killer blue dress that I used to wear. It was like my special go out dress. And so That Blue Number is like That Blue Number, not like the number, but
okay.
Okay.
I get it now.
Yeah. I think my first I've had a lot of names, but my first one was Pop Box because my family calls me Pop, like Poppy Chulo, and then I had an Xbox, so I just combined it. But then eventually I changed it. You know.
Yeah.
But nice. I didn't know that actually. Good to see you both, Fuzz. We did it. Tell us where people can find you and close us out, man.
Oh, it was awesome having you two on here tonight. Greatly appreciate you two taking the time to join us. Love hearing your takes on things. Love seeing you guys on other podcasts as well. Thanks to everybody in the chat for stopping by and interacting with us. We greatly appreciate you guys taking the time as well. If you haven't already, hit the like and please subscribe if you haven't already. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on the Xbox lunch break special Monday at 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming, and then FSP for Monday night at 10 p.m. on Fun Speculations channel. And then hope to see you guys here next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, everyone can find me here as well. I'm on FSP with Mav. Also pop up when I can to Xbox Ultimate on that channel with Pong Soul, Mav, and Fuzzy and the crew. We got some pretty fun shows coming up, so do stay tuned for that. Additional show announcements, all the good stuff. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, drastically helps out. We do get a lot of people watching the future, so future people, tell us what the weather's like, and appreciate y'all for coming on by. If you guys agreed with us or not, I always say let us know in the comment section down below, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Pixelated Echoes. Have a great one, y'all.
Later.